23 seconds. That's how long the room laughed while I stood there holding my glass of water. My hands were shaking, but I didn't let anyone see. We were at his office party. His boss was there. His friends were there. Everyone saw what he did to me. Daniel's words felt like ice water poured over my head. Stop acting like you own me, Lauren. You don't get to tell me where I go or who I'm with. 40 people heard him say it. 40 people who work with my husband. They all laughed like it was a funny joke. But it wasn't funny to me. Now I'm sitting in our kitchen at 4 in the morning. The sun isn't up yet. I'm making breakfast even though I can't eat. My stomach feels sick. Daniel is still sleeping in our bed. He doesn't know what I'm planning. He doesn't know that everything is about to change. The bacon is cooking. The eggs are ready. I've made him breakfast every single day for 12 years. This will be the last time. I've counted 4,380 breakfasts. That's a lot of mornings. A lot of eggs. A lot of time spent taking care of someone who doesn't care about me. The coffee machine makes its normal sound. 2 spoons of sugar. A little bit of milk. I know exactly how he likes it. But today, while I stir his coffee, I'm also looking at my phone. There's a message from a lawyer. Her name is Miss Patricia. I called her last night from the parking lot after the party. I sat in my car and cried for an hour first. Then I called her. She said she can help me. She said she's been waiting for my call. Our apartment is on the 20th floor. We can see the whole city from up here. The windows go all the way to the ceiling. So pretty. Daniel always tells people it's his apartment. But that's not true. My grandmother left me this apartment when she died. She worked her whole life to buy it. She cleaned houses for 30 years. Her hands were always rough and red. She saved every penny so I would have a safe place to live. Daniel never paid for any of it. Not $1. But he tells everyone it's his. He talks about his view, his home, his success. My business pays for everything. I help small companies with their money problems. I'm very good at it. I built my company from nothing while Daniel went to school. I paid for his classes. Paid for his books. Paid for everything. Now he's a manager at a big company and he acts like he did it all by himself. I hear him moving in the bedroom. The sheets make a sound. Those sheets cost me $300. He said I spent too much money on them. But he uses them every night. Lauren. His voice sounds rough. He just woke up. Is breakfast ready? I don't answer right away. My voice might shake. On the table, I finally say. Sound normal. Like nothing is different. But everything is different now. He walks into the kitchen wearing his college shirt and boxer shorts. Daniel is 40 years old, but he still wears clothes from when he was 20. He stretches his arms up high. His muscles move. He goes to the gym every single day. He says his body is important. More important than talking to me. More important than being kind. What time did you come home? Yes. I already know he's going to lie. Maybe midnight, he says. But that's not true. I know because I sat in the parking garage until 3 in the morning. I needed time to think. Time to make phone calls. Time to stop crying before I came inside. Our doorman, his name is Robert, he told me something important while I was waiting. Something about Thursday afternoons that I didn't know before. Daniel picks up his phone. He doesn't look at me. Mike is sending me some papers today. I need you to sign them by 5 o'clock. Mike is his best friend from college. They want to start a business together. They want my money to do it. $50,000. That's how much they want. That money came from my grandmother too. She left me everything she had. I want to read the papers first, I say. Same thing I said yesterday. Same thing I said last week. His eyes get small and angry. We already talked about this, Lauren. Mike went to a fancy business school. He knows what he's doing. So did lots of people who lost all their money, I say back. Daniel puts his coffee cup down hard. Too hard. The sound is loud on the counter. Why do you always make things so difficult? This is exactly why I said what I said last night. You try to control everything I do. And there it is. He's blaming me. He embarrassed me in front of 40 people. But now he's saying it's my fault. I've seen him do this so many times. He does something mean. Then he says I made him do it. He takes my money. Then he says I'm selfish for asking questions. You're right, I say. The words come out smooth like butter. I shouldn't try to control things like my own money or my own life. He doesn't hear the edge in my voice. He thinks he won. Exactly. When you're reasonable, things are so much better. He walks over and kisses the top of my head. Feels like he's marking me. Like I'm his property. Wear that blue dress tonight. There's another party at the hotel. A work thing. My stomach drops. The same dress from last night. The one I was wearing when everyone laughed at me. It looks expensive on you, he says with a smile that isn't kind. These clients weren't at yesterday's party. Nobody will know you wore it already. But I would know. I would remember. He wants me to wear my shame like a uniform. That's when I understand. He wants me branded by what he did. He wants everyone to see me and remember that he can say anything to me and I'll just take it. I'll think about it, I say. My voice sounds like nothing. Vicar. He's already walking back to the bedroom. Already dismissing me. Don't overthink it, Lauren. It's just a dress. But it's not just a dress. It's every time I made myself small so he could feel big. It's every time I stayed quiet when I should have spoken. It's every time I let him treat me like I was nothing. The blue dress is just the newest costume in a long line of costumes. I've been acting in his play for 12 years. But I forgot that I can walk off the stage anytime I want. My phone buzzes on the counter. It's Miss Patricia, the lawyer. Can you come to my office at noon? She asks. If you're ready to start. I look at the locksmith's card sitting next to the coffee machine. Then I look at Daniel's cup with his lip marks on it. Then I look at the sunrise coming through the windows. Everything looks different now. Dark. Clear. Like I've been wearing dirty glasses for 12 years and someone finally cleaned them. Actually, I called toward the bedroom. He's in the shower now. I can hear the water running. I know exactly what I'm wearing tonight. What he doesn't know is that I'll be wearing it in my apartment. With my locks. Living my life. The 23 seconds of laughter have stopped playing in my head. Now all I hear is my own heartbeat. Teddy. Counting down to freedom. Daniel's hand pushes against my back as we walk into the hotel party room. His fingers spread out across the blue dress fabric. He's not being protective. He's being possessive. Like when someone holds their wallet extra tight in a crowded place. The room is full of gold decorations and shiny things. Someone spent a lot of money to make it look fancy. Smells like perfume and wine and ambition. That's a word my grandmother used. Ambition. It means wanting something so bad you forget to be a good person. Remember, Daniel whispers in my ear. His breath smells like the whiskey he drank in the car. These people are important to my job. Be nice. Be nice. After what he did to me last night. After 23 seconds of strangers laughing at me. He wants me to be nice. I'm about to say something when I see her. Jessica. She works in Daniel's office. She does the money paperwork. She's wearing a blue dress exactly like mine. Not similar. Exactly the same. The same color. The same style. Just tighter and shorter. She has her back to us. Her yellow hair goes down her back like a waterfall. But it's a waterfall of lies. Rachel appears next to me. She's married to Mike, Daniel's friend. She's holding 2 glasses of champagne. Her eyes go back and forth between Jessica and me. Between our matching dresses. She looks like she wants to cry for me. Lauren, you look really pretty, Rachel says. She's trying so hard not to stare at Jessica's dress. Interesting that you both picked blue. I watch Daniel notice Jessica. His hand falls off my back immediately. Like I suddenly turned into fire and burned him. His eyes get big. His mouth opens a little. For 3 seconds I don't exist to him. In those 3 seconds I see our whole marriage. Every late meeting. Every Thursday afternoon. Every text message he hid by turning his phone away from me. Every lie dressed up as truth. Jessica turns around. Her eyes meet mine over Daniel's shoulder. She looks uncomfortable. Her cheeks turn pink. But she doesn't move away. Instead, she lifts her chin up. Like she's saying, "I'm here and I'm not leaving." The earrings in her ears catch the light. They're new. They're expensive. They're familiar. They look exactly like the earrings Daniel said he bought for his sister's graduation last month. "Those are beautiful earrings," I say to Rachel. But I'm looking at Jessica. It's amazing how some people can wear such expensive jewelry to work parties. They must make a lot of money. Rachel chokes on her champagne a little. Mike appears next to his wife. His face is already red from drinking. "Daniel. Ready to make us all rich with this business idea. We just need Lauren's signature and we're good to go." My signature. My grandmother's money. My inheritance funding their boys' club fantasy. And Daniel's girlfriend is standing 10 feet away wearing my color and his earrings. The room suddenly feels too hot. Too bright. Too full of people who think I'm just a checkbook with legs. "I want to see the business plan first," I say. My voice cuts through their excitement like cold water. "I haven't seen any papers. No numbers. No research. Nothing but promises and a fancy school degree." Daniel's face changes color. Gets dark red. The kind of red that comes before his worst moments. "Lauren, we've talked about this." "No. You've talked. I've listened. There's a difference." I take a sip of champagne. The bubbles give me courage. "It's $50,000, Daniel. My grandmother's money." "Our money," he interrupts. His voice gets loud enough that people nearby stop talking. "It's our money, Lauren. Or did you forget what being married means?" Mike laughs, but it sounds nervous. "Hey, let's not turn business into..." "Into what?" I ask, turning to face him. "Into questions. Into protecting my money. Into asking where $50,000 is going." The room gets quieter. That special kind of quiet when people smell drama coming. Jessica moves closer. She's pretending to look at a painting on the wall, but she's obviously listening. Her perfume is too strong. Makes me want to throw up. Daniel grabs my arm. His fingers dig in hard enough to leave marks. "You're embarrassing me," he hisses like a snake. "I'm embarrassing you." The laugh that comes out of me sounds broken. "That's funny, considering last night." His grip gets tighter. "Last night was nothing. You're being dramatic." 23 seconds, I say quietly. "Your co-workers laughed at me for 23 seconds because you said I was controlling. You are being controlling." His voice booms now. He's not even pretending to be quiet anymore. The jazz band actually stops playing. The piano player's hands freeze on the keys. "You always do this, Lauren. You act like you own me. Like I can't make one single decision without asking your permission." The entire room is watching now. Maybe 60 people in fancy clothes holding drinks that cost more than most people's groceries for a week. All of them witnessing round 2 of my public humiliation. Jessica has turned completely around now. Her expression is unreadable. But her body language screams anticipation. Like she's watching her favorite TV show. Daniel's finger points at my chest. Not quite touching me. But close enough to feel aggressive. "Stop acting like you own me, Lauren. You don't get to tell me where I go or who I'm with." The same words as last night. But this time with clients instead of co-workers. This time with his girlfriend watching. This time with everyone waiting to see if I'll crumble or fight back. The champagne glass in my hand shakes a little as I put it down on a table. The click of glass on marble sounds like a judge's hammer falling. Inside I'm breaking into a million pieces. 12 years of marriage. 12 years of trying. 12 years of making myself smaller so he could feel bigger. All shattering at once. But outside my hands are steady. My voice is clear. "You're right," I say. Loud enough for everyone to hear. "We're not together anymore." The silence that follows is complete. Total. The kind that makes your ears ring. Daniel's face, which was triumphant because he thought he was winning, shifts to confusion. His mouth opens, closes, opens again, like a fish out of water gasping for air. What did you just say? His voice cracks on the last word. I said you're right. I don't own you. And you don't own me. We're done. I turn away from his shocked face. From Jessica's barely hidden satisfaction. From Rachel's horrified sympathy. From Mike's uncomfortable shuffling. My heels click against the marble floor. Steady, rhythmic, final. Each step feels like dropping weight. Like gravity is letting me go. Behind me I hear Sarah. She works in the IT department. She whispers to someone. Good for her. Then louder, meant for me to hear. Good for you, Lauren. I don't stop walking until I reach my car. The parking garage is cold. Snow is starting to fall. Big fat flakes that stick to my hair. To my dress. To my shaking hands as I search for my keys. Inside the car I sit for a moment. I let the silence wrap around me like a blanket. Then I pull out my phone and make 3 calls. Each one is like hammering a nail into the coffin of my old life. Miss Patricia answers fast. Lauren, it's late. Are you? I'm ready, I say. Can you start the divorce papers tomorrow? She pauses. Then, finally. I've been waiting years for this call. I'll have everything ready by morning. The second call is to a locksmith. A woman named Diana answers. Her voice is warm, understanding. We can be there tonight, she says. Changing locks after midnight is our specialty. We do it all the time. The third call is to my brother James. He runs a storage business. I need a unit, I say. No explanation. No details. Just a request. How big? No surprise in his voice. Just immediate support. Big enough for a man's entire life. Silence for a second. Then, I'll have one ready by midnight. Lauren, I'm proud of you. 3 calls. 3 allies. 3 steps toward freedom. As I drive home through the falling snow, watching the city lights blur through my tears, I realize something. Daniel was right about one thing. I had been trying to control something. I'd been trying to control myself. Trying to make myself fit into the shape of what he needed me to be. Tonight, in front of everyone who mattered to his image, I finally let go of that control. And in losing it, I found something else entirely. Myself. The snow has turned to freezing rain by the time I reach our building. Each drop hits my windshield like tiny bullets of reality. Through the lobby's glass doors I can see Robert at his desk. Something in the way he's sitting tells me he's been waiting for me. Park in my spot. Number 20F. Same as our apartment number. I sit for a moment, gathering courage to walk through those doors as a woman about to take apart her life. Robert stands up as I enter. His weathered face carries an expression I've never seen before. Part relief, part sorrow, like watching someone finally escape a burning building. Miss Williams, he says, using my maiden name. My grandmother's name. Without me having to ask. The locksmith called. She's on her way up. I gave her access. Pauses. Studies my face. I also put some boxes in the hallway for you. The good ones from the storage room. At exactly 10:47, Diana arrives. She has a beat-up toolbox and eyes that have seen too many midnight escapes. She's maybe 50 years old. Silver streaks in her dark hair. Rough hands that speak of real work. She doesn't offer sympathy or ask questions. Instead she kneels by our door. She runs her fingers along the lock like a doctor examining a patient. Standard grade, she says. She's already pulling out tools. Metal singing against metal. Good quality but old. Your husband never thought to upgrade security, did he? The question doesn't need an answer. She's already working. Men like that never think anyone would dare lock them out. Makes my job easier. As she works, her story unfolds. Quiet fragments between the sounds of pins clicking. Her ex locked her out 19 years ago. Changed the locks while she was at her father's funeral. Came home to my whole life on the lawn. In garbage bags. In the rain. She tests the new deadbolt. Solid. Unforgiving. Learned locksmithing after that. Figured if I couldn't control much else, I could at least control who got through my door. The new keys she hands me are different. Heavier. With edges that bite into my palm. Military grade, she says with satisfaction. These can't be copied at some corner store. You want copies, you come through me. She pulls out a business card. My personal number's on the back. For emergencies. Or just to talk. While Diana packs her tools, I begin the archaeology of ending a marriage. Each item of Daniel's needs to be examined. Classified. His college diploma, which he insisted on hanging in our bedroom for inspiration, goes into bubble wrap. I grab a marker and write on the box. Educated but not smart. The watch I bought him for our 10th anniversary. 3 months of my salary. Goes into its box with a note. Time's up. My movements are methodical. Almost therapeutic. Each labeled box is a small revolution. His collection of business books becomes unread trophies. The golf clubs he bought with what he called his bonus, but was actually our tax refund, get tagged, borrowed dreams. Then behind his golf bag, my fingers find something that stops me cold. Pink scarf. Expensive. Reeking of Jessica's perfume. I hold it up to the light. Evidence of Thursday afternoons I pretended not to know about. Instead of rage, I feel relief. Confirmation is its own kind of freedom. I fold it carefully. Place it in its own box. Label it. Thursday afternoons. Personal property of accounting department. Robert appears in my doorway. He used his master key. I brought a cart, he says simply. Then begins loading boxes without being asked. We work in comfortable silence until he finally speaks. His words careful but necessary. Miss Williams, I need to tell you something. He adjusts a box. Not meeting my eyes. I've worked here 17 years. Seen all kinds of people. All kinds of marriages. Your husband tips well at Christmas. Gives me basketball tickets sometimes. He thinks that makes me blind. But I see everything. Every Thursday when you're at yoga, that woman from his office comes here. Takes the service elevator. Stays exactly 90 minutes. The information should hurt. But it just feels like confirmation of a test I already failed. How long? Yes. 7 months, maybe 8. Started right after your grandmother's funeral. He finally looks at me. Anger flashing in his usually kind eyes. You deserve better than a man who can't even cheat with dignity. At least have the decency to go to a hotel. Not the bed his wife sleeps in. We continue packing. Robert's revelations settling over me like armor. My hands move faster now. With purpose. The wedding photo on our dresser gives me pause. We look so young. So certain. I allow myself exactly 3 minutes to mourn those people. To grieve the couple who believed in forever. Then I wrap it in newspaper and add it to a box labeled fiction. A love story. By 11:30, the apartment looks like a crime scene where only one person's belongings were murdered. Every trace of Daniel has been boxed. Labeled. Moved to the hallway. I sit at my laptop. Crafting an email that will serve as both evidence and announcement. The subject line reads, Truth and Transparency, a necessary update. The email itself is surgical in its precision. I attach the security footage Sarah from IT secretly sent me. Daniel's public humiliation of me at the party. His finger pointing. His voice carrying over the jazz band. The video shows him toasting with Mike afterward. Celebrating what he thought was his victory. I add screenshots of credit card statements. Showing his Thursday afternoon hotel charges. The ones he thought I didn't know about because he used the emergency card. The recipient list is comprehensive. Both sets of parents. His boss. Our entire friend circle. His HR department. And because I'm feeling particularly thorough, the company's board of directors. Daniel left their email list open on our shared computer. My finger hovers over the schedule send button. 2:30 in the morning seems right. Late enough that he'll be locked out and drunk. early enough that people will read it with their morning coffee. Diana finishes installing the new lock. All done, she announces, testing the handle one final time. Your fortress is secure. I walk her to the elevator. Robert follows with her tools. As we wait, Diana turns to me. Her eyes understand everything without explanation. The first night's the hardest, she says quietly. You'll want to undo it all. To go back to the familiar pain. Don't. Tomorrow you'll wake up and realize the air tastes different when you're not suffocating. The elevator arrives. She steps in with Robert, who's heading back to his desk. Just before the doors close, Robert says, I'll be at my desk all night, Miss Williams. If you need anything, even just to know someone else is awake. I stand in the hallway, surrounded by boxes containing Daniel's life. My phone in my hand, the email ready to send. The apartment behind me is mine now. Legally it always was. But now it feels true. At exactly 11:45 I press send. Watching the confirmation message appear. Email scheduled successfully. 15 minutes to midnight. In 2 hours and 45 minutes, Daniel will discover his keys don't work. In 2 hours and 46 minutes, everyone will know why. For now though, I have these 15 minutes of perfect quiet. Standing in my hallway with my new keys heavy and real in my hand. The locks have been changed. The email scheduled. The boxes packed. The midnight operation is complete. And I am finally secure. Midnight arrives with the soft chime of Mrs. Chen's grandfather clock. The sound drifting through the thin wall between our apartments. I stand alone in my newly secured space, running my fingers over the fresh keys Diana left. When I hear a door open in the hallway. Through my peephole I watch Mrs. Chen emerge from apartment 20G. She's wearing a green silk robe and slippers. Carrying a silver tea tray like midnight visits are perfectly normal. She pauses at the boxes lining the hallway, examining my labels with careful attention. Her fingers trace the words on one box. Thursday afternoons. A knowing smile crosses her face. She knocks on my door. 3 precise taps. Miss Williams, she says when I open the door. Using my maiden name without explanation. I believe we have some time before the main event. Would you join me for tea? Her apartment is exactly what I imagined. Books covering the walls. Beautiful rugs over hardwood floors. Furniture that whispers old money and good taste. She sets the tea service on a dark wood coffee table. Gestures for me to sit in a chair that probably costs more than Daniel's monthly car payment. I was a judge for 32 years, Mrs. Chen says. Pouring tea with steady hands. Presided over every kind of human cruelty you can imagine. But the cases that haunted me weren't the dramatic ones. The crimes of passion or sudden violence. It was the slow erosion of a woman's spirit. The daily diminishment disguised as marriage. She hands me a delicate china cup. That's the worst kind of cruelty. Because it teaches you to be complicit in your own destruction. She moves to an antique desk. Pulls out a manila folder thick with papers and photographs. I started documenting your husband's activities 7 months ago. Not out of nosiness, you understand. But out of concern. She spreads the contents across the coffee table. Photographs with timestamps. Dates carefully noted in her precise handwriting. Every Thursday 1:15. The blonde arrives separately. Takes the service elevator. Your husband follows 10 minutes later. They leave the same way. Separately. Around 2:45. The evidence is overwhelming in its finality. Daniel in the lobby checking his phone. Jessica entering with an oversized purse. The two of them accidentally captured in the same frame near the elevator. Carefully not acknowledging each other. Mrs. Chen built a case with the thoroughness of someone who understands how truth needs documentation to become justice. Why? Yes. My voice barely above a whisper. Because I was you once, Mrs. Chen says simply. 42 years ago. Different husband. Same story. But back then nobody documented anything. Nobody helped. Women just disappeared into their marriages. Nobody asked questions until they turned up in my courtroom. Broken and without proof. She touches one of the photographs. I promised myself I'd never let another woman go through that alone if I could help it. At 2:23 we hear the elevator ding. Mrs. Chen moves to her door, pressing her eye to the peephole with practiced ease. "He's here," she whispers, gesturing for me to join her. Through the fisheye lens I watch Daniel stumble down the hallway. His walk uneven from alcohol and arrogance. His key card beeps against the lock. Once. 3 times. The confusion on his face would be comical if it weren't so satisfying. He tries the handle, shaking it with increasing force. "Lauren." His voice is slurred but demanding. "Lauren, open the door." He progresses from confusion to irritation to anger in 30 seconds. "This isn't funny. Open the door right now." Mrs. Chen looks at me, one eyebrow raised in question. I nod. She opens her door with theatrical calm, teacup in hand, looking every inch the distinguished retired judge despite the late hour. "Mr. Cooper," she says, her voice carrying the authority of 3 decades on the bench. "Having trouble?" Daniel spins toward her, nearly losing his balance. "My key. It's not working." "How curious," Mrs. Chen says, taking a deliberate sip of tea. "Though I suppose it makes sense. Keys generally stop working when one no longer lives somewhere." The color drains from his face. He notices the boxes lining the hallway, his name on every label. "What is this?" "I believe the legal term is personal property removal," Mrs. Chen says. Though I particularly enjoyed the labeling system. Thursday afternoons was especially creative. She gestures toward the pink scarf box. "Your friend Jessica left that behind last week. Rather careless of her." Daniel's phone begins buzzing incessantly. The 2:30 email has landed. He pulls it out, his face illuminated by the screen. Notification after notification pops up. His mother, his boss, or the entire board of directors. His expression cycles through shock, rage, finally desperation. "She sent it to everyone," he whispers. Then louder, directed at my door. "You sent it to everyone." He starts pounding on the door with both fists. "You can't do this. This is my home. I have rights." His voice cracks with rage and humiliation. Mrs. Chen calmly pulls out her phone, begins recording. "Please continue your performance, Mr. Cooper. I'm sure Lauren's attorney will find this very helpful." Threatening behavior, attempted forced entry, intoxicated aggression. It's all quite compelling. Daniel freezes mid-pound, finally noticing the security camera mounted discreetly in the corner. The one I installed last month after sensing something shifting in our marriage. His bravado crumbles instantly. The man who humiliated me in front of colleagues, who declared his independence from our marriage, actually whimpers. Mrs. Chan and I exchange a look through her doorway. A look that speaks volumes about the particular fragility of men who mistake control for strength. She continues recording as Daniel sinks to his knees in front of the door, his voice shifting to pleading. "Lauren, please. Let's talk about this. We can work it out." "I believe she already tried talking," Mrs. Chen says. "At 2 separate company events if the video evidence is accurate. You chose public humiliation instead of private conversation. Now you're experiencing the consequences of that choice." Daniel gathers his boxes with shaking hands, muttering about lawyers and unfair treatment. As the elevator doors close on his defeated figure, Mrs. Chen turns to me. "Would you like to watch the sunrise? I make excellent coffee to go with dawn revelations." We settle by her window, the city still dark but beginning to stir. Mrs. Chen pulls out a photo album, opening to a page from 1985. A younger version of herself stands in judicial robes, fierce and solitary. "My first husband was a banker," she says. "Brilliant, charming, and systematically cruel. He made me feel small for being smart, inadequate for being successful. It took me 11 years to realize the lock keeping me trapped wasn't on any door. It was in my head. She shows me another photo. Her swearing-in ceremony as a judge. The day after I left him, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in a decade. But it was lonely. Nobody talked about it then. Women just endured or escaped quietly. The sky begins to lighten, painting the clouds in shades of pink and gold. Your generation is different, Mrs. Chen continues. You document, share. You refuse to disappear quietly into bad marriages. She raises her coffee cup toward me. To locks that change, both physical and mental. We sit in comfortable silence. Two women from different generations, bound by the same understanding. The city wakes around us. And somewhere out there, Daniel is discovering that his world has fundamentally shifted while he slept off his arrogance. The reckoning has come, not with dramatics, but with dignity, witnessed by a woman who understands that justice sometimes looks like tea and carefully documented truth. Mrs. Chen's coffee has grown cold in my hands as the first rays of sunlight paint the city in shades of gold and amber. We sit in comfortable silence. Two women who understand that some victories taste better when shared quietly. Then at exactly 7 o'clock, my phone shatters the peace. A ringtone I assigned specifically to avoid. Barbara Cooper. Then at exactly 7 o'clock, my phone shatters the peace. A ringtone I assigned specifically to avoid. Barbara Cooper. Daniel's mother. I look at Mrs. Chen, who nods encouragingly. Sometimes the most surprising allies come from unexpected places, she says softly. Barbara's voice, usually sharp with disapproval and thick with upper-class breeding, trembles like autumn leaves. Lauren, I've seen the email. The video. Everything. Pause so long I think the connection dropped. What has my son done? For 12 years, this woman treated me like the help who somehow tricked her precious Daniel into marriage. She made comments about my grandmother's neighborhood. Suggested I take cooking classes at the country club. Once told her bridge club friends that Daniel married down for love. Bless his heart. Now her voice carries something I've never heard before. Shame. He did exactly what you raised him to believe he could do, I say, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. Take what he wanted without consequences. The sharp intake of breath on the other end might be a sob. I raised him better than this. His father would be appalled. His father was having an affair with his dental hygienist when he died, Barbara. Daniel learned from the best. The silence stretches between us. Years of pretense crumbling in seconds. When she finally speaks again, her voice is smaller, older. I suspected, but never. I couldn't face it. Just like I couldn't face what Daniel was becoming. I'm keeping the silver tea set you gave me, I say, looking at the morning light dancing across Mrs. Chen's coffee table. It's the only thing from your family worth holding on to. Another pause. Heavy with unspoken acknowledgments. Keep it all, dear, she whispers. The china. The crystal. Everything I insisted you weren't refined enough to inherit. You earned it by surviving him. She hangs up without goodbye. But somehow it feels like the most honest conversation we've ever had. My phone immediately buzzes with another call. Sarah from IT. Her voice electric with vindication. Lauren, you're not going to believe what I found. Scratch that. You probably will. Mrs. Chen pours fresh coffee as I put Sarah on speaker. Her judicial instincts clearly interested in evidence. After I saw that video last night, I did some digging with my admin access, Sarah continues. Your husband's been using company resources for everything. Hotel rooms booked as client meetings. Expensive dinners expensed as business development. I tracked his corporate card. Every Thursday afternoon at the Marriott. Charged to the Henderson account. Mrs. Chen raises an eyebrow at the mention of the Henderson account. That's our biggest client, she mouths. It gets worse, Sarah says. Her typing audible through the phone. That business he's been pushing. The one with Mike. I found the incorporation documents. It doesn't exist. Mike's been investigated for fraud twice. Once in Miami. Once in Denver. The whole thing was a scam to get your inheritance. My legs go weak. I sink into Mrs. Chen's chair. The weight of what I almost lost crushing down on me. $50,000. My grandmother's life work. Nearly stolen by the man who vowed to protect me. I forwarded everything to HR and Mr. Davidson, Sarah continues, referring to Daniel's boss. Also sent copies to the State Fraud Division. They love this kind of thing. By the time I end the call, my phone is exploding with messages. The digital unraveling of Daniel's reputation happening in real time. Each text a thread pulled from his carefully woven image. Jennifer from legal. We never liked how he talked about you. Like you were a trophy he won. Tom from sales. That video was brutal. You handled it with more grace than he deserved. Even Mike's wife Rachel. I'm leaving him too. Found out about the fraud investigation. You inspired me to stop ignoring warning signs. But the message that stops me cold comes from Mr. Davidson himself. Miss Williams, I apologize for our company culture that enabled this behavior. Mr. Cooper's employment is under review pending investigation of expense fraud. Would you consider consulting for us? We could use someone with your integrity and strategic thinking. Please call at your convenience. I screenshot everything, creating my own evidence folder. Miss Patricia will want documentation of the complete collapse. At 10 o'clock, Robert calls from the lobby. Miss Williams, there's a flower delivery here. 4 dozen roses. I've refused them as you requested. But the delivery guy says they're paid for and he can't take them back. Donate them to the children's hospital, I say. Tell them they're from an anonymous donor who's celebrating freedom. With pleasure, Robert replies. Also, there's a young man here who says he's Mr. Cooper's brother. Should I send him away? Kevin. Daniel's younger brother. The one who just finished law school. Send him up, I say, curious what Daniel promised him. Mrs. Chen offers to leave but I ask her to stay. Witnesses are always valuable, she says with judicial wisdom. Kevin arrives looking uncomfortable. His resemblance to Daniel softened by genuine embarrassment. He stands in Mrs. Chen's doorway, shifting his weight like a child called to the principal's office. Lauren, I'm sorry to bother you. Daniel said if I came here and talked to you, he'd pay off my student loans. $65,000. He meets my eyes with difficulty. But I'm guessing that's not happening, is it? He doesn't have $65,000, I say gently. He's been living off my income for 2 years. His salary barely covers his car payment and gym membership. Kevin's face goes through several expressions before landing on anger. That lying piece of... He catches himself, glancing at Mrs. Chen. Sorry. He told me you were the one overspending. That you were bleeding him dry with your shopping addiction. My shopping consists of buying groceries and occasionally replacing worn work clothes, I say. Would you like some coffee? There are things about your brother you should probably know. Over the next hour, Kevin reveals more pieces of Daniel's hidden history. The gambling debts from his college days that Barbara quietly paid. The previous engagement to a doctor's daughter that ended when her family discovered Daniel's lies about his trust fund. The investment schemes at his first job that HR buried to avoid scandal. I always wondered why he was so secretive about certain things, Kevin says, staring into his coffee. Now it makes sense. He wasn't protecting family privacy. He was protecting his con game. As Kevin leaves, he turns at the door. Lauren, for what it's worth, the family knew you were too good for him. Even Mom, though she'd never admit it. We just didn't know how to tell you. The unraveling is complete. By noon, Daniel's carefully constructed world has collapsed like a sandcastle in a tsunami. His reputation, his job, his family's illusions, his financial schemes. Everything exposed in the harsh light of truth. Mrs. Chan and I sit in her apartment, watching it all fall apart with a satisfaction that should feel wrong but doesn't. Sometimes destruction is just another word for justice. Mrs. Chen's apartment has become my temporary command center by the time Miss Patricia arrives at 2 p.m. Her leather briefcase containing the weaponry of legal warfare. She sweeps into the room with the confidence of someone who has dismantled marriages for 22 years. Her navy suit as sharp as her strategy. Mrs. Chen offers to leave, but Miss Patricia waves her down. "Stay," Miss Patricia says, pulling out color-coded folders. "A retired judge as a witness. That's better than a signed confession." She spreads documents across Mrs. Chen's dining table like a general mapping battle plans. "The video from the party is gold. Your testimony, Judge Chen, is platinum. But Sarah's evidence of embezzlement." She taps a folder marked fraud in red letters. "That's diamonds." She walks me through the legal architecture of Daniel's self-destruction. His public declaration at the party constitutes abandonment. The affair with Jessica proves infidelity. The financial fraud. She smiles with professional satisfaction. That eliminates any claim to marital assets. He essentially played himself out of his own divorce. "How long will this take?" I ask, running my fingers over the evidence folders. "Depends on our strategy." Miss Patricia pulls out 2 different timelines. Option 1, quick and clean. We file everything immediately. Push for summary judgment. You're divorced in 90 days. Option 2, we slow play it. Let him marinate in uncertainty while his world continues collapsing. I think about 12 years of being told I was too emotional, too needy, too much. 12 years of gaslighting disguised as concern. Make him sweat, I decide. He made me doubt my own reality for over a decade. Miss Patricia's smile turns predatory. Psychological warfare it is. 3:30 my phone buzzes. Robert's voice carries unusual tension. "Miss Williams, there's a young woman here. Jessica Mills. She says she has information you need." I look at Miss Patricia, who nods. "Mistresses often become star witnesses," she says quietly. "Let her up." Jessica arrives looking nothing like the confident woman from the party. Her designer dress replaced with jeans and a wrinkled sweater. Her eyes red-rimmed. Mascara smudged despite obvious attempts to clean it. She's younger than I realized. Maybe 26. Still carrying that post-college uncertainty about the world. "I'm sorry," she says before even sitting down. "I'm so sorry." Mrs. Chen, ever the hostess despite the circumstances, moves toward the kitchen. "I'll make tea." Jessica collapses into a chair, tears flowing freely. "I didn't know he was really married. I mean, I knew he was married. But he said you were separated. Living separate lives. He said you were crazy. Vindictive. That you were trying to take everything in the divorce. When did it start?" I ask, surprised by my own steady voice. 9 months ago. He approached me at a conference in Atlanta. Said his marriage had been over for years. But his wife wouldn't accept it. He painted himself as this victim trapped by a controlling woman. She accepts the tea from Mrs. Chen with shaking hands. He was so convincing. He showed me around your apartment like he owned it. Talked about selling it after the divorce was final. Miss Patricia pulls out her phone. "Would you be willing to repeat this on record?" Jessica nods, wiping her nose with a tissue Mrs. Chen provided. "He promised me everything. A promotion to senior accountant. Marriage once the divorce was done. A life together funded by the sale of the apartment." She looks directly at me. "He said the inheritance from your grandmother was actually his trust fund that you'd stolen." The calculated cruelty of his lies takes my breath away. He inverted our entire reality to seduce a woman barely out of college. Miss Patricia records while Jessica details dates, locations, promises made. Each revelation another nail in Daniel's legal coffin. "There's more," Jessica says, pulling out her phone. "He sent me photos of jewelry he was going to buy me. Screenshots of real estate listings for our future home. All dated months ago. proving he was planning this while pretending to work on your marriage. My phone rings. James, my brother. His voice tight with controlled fury. Lauren, you need to know something. I was organizing Daniel's boxes in the storage unit when I found something in his golf bag. What kind of something? Bank statements. He has a separate account you don't know about. He's been siphoning money from your joint account for 3 years. Small amounts. 400 here. 700 there. It adds up to almost $38,000. The rage that floods through me is different from the hurt of betrayal. This is clean, pure anger. Like fire burning away the last threads connecting me to Daniel. Send me photos of everything, I say. Already done, Lauren. I could handle this the family way. Make sure he understands consequences. No, I say firmly. The legal way will hurt him more. Criminal charges for embezzlement last longer than bruises. Thursday arrives with an email from Daniel's lawyer requesting mediation. Miss Patricia laughs out loud when she reads it. They want to avoid court. Good sign. Means they know they're losing. The mediation is scheduled for the following Monday in a sterile conference room downtown. I wear my best suit. Not for Daniel, but for myself. Armor for battle. Miss Patricia flanks me like a bodyguard. Daniel enters wearing his college tie. The one he wears to important meetings. His eyes bloodshot. His usual confidence cracked but not broken. His lawyer, an older man who looks exhausted already, follows behind. Daniel's eyes were bloodshot. His usual confidence cracked but not broken. He tries his old smile. The one that used to make me forgive everything. Lauren, he starts. Voice dripping with practiced sincerity. We can work this out. Remember what we had. Remember Cancun. I pull out the folder Sarah compiled. Expense reports showing he charged our Cancun anniversary trip to his company as client entertainment. While texting Jessica from the beach. I slide it across the table without a word. His lawyer's face pales as he reads. This could be criminal fraud. It is criminal fraud, Miss Patricia confirms. Along with embezzlement from marital assets, abandonment, and documented infidelity. Daniel reaches for my hand across the table. I pull back as if his touch might infect me with his delusions. Lauren, please. We had good times. The only thing I remember, I say, my voice carrying the weight of finally spoken truth, is paying for those good times while you plan to steal my inheritance. Miss Patricia leans forward. Here are our terms. Miss Williams keeps all assets, including the apartment, savings, and investments. Mr. Cooper keeps nothing except his personal belongings, which have already been delivered to storage. He signs a comprehensive NDA preventing him from discussing the marriage or divorce. In exchange, we don't pursue criminal charges. Daniel's lawyer whispers urgently in his ear. Words like fraud and prison cutting through the murmur. Daniel's face crumbles like old plaster finally giving way to water damage. The man who publicly humiliated me, who stole from me, who planned to take everything while painting me as crazy, finally understands. He isn't the one in control anymore. He never really had been. He'd just been living in the delusion I paid for. And now the bill had come due. Daniel's pen hovers over the NDA agreement for 30 seconds that feel like 30 years. His hand trembles slightly as he finally signs. The sound of ink on paper marking the legal death of our marriage. His lawyer gathers the documents with the efficiency of someone eager to leave, muttering about filing deadlines and court schedules. As they stand to leave, Daniel looks at me one last time, his mouth opening as if to say something. But Miss Patricia raises her hand, pointing to the freshly signed NDA, and he closes it again, shuffling out like a man who aged a decade in an hour. 3 weeks pass in a blur of paperwork and apartment reorganization. I reclaim spaces that had been his. The home office where he conducted his Thursday affairs via video calls. The closet that now holds only my clothes spread out luxuriously. Mrs. Chen checks in daily. bringing tea and wisdom in equal measure. The building's residents have shifted from treating me as Daniel's wife to Lauren Williams, the woman who changed her own locks. The story has become building legend. New Year's Eve arrives with a snowstorm and an invitation slipped under my door. The building's annual rooftop party. Handwritten by Mrs. Chen herself. You need to be seen thriving. It's not about him anymore. It's about you. I almost decline. The thought of facing a room full of people who witnessed my public humiliation feels overwhelming. But Mrs. Chen appears at my door at 7 p.m. holding a jewelry box. These were my late husband's cufflinks, she says, opening it to reveal diamonds that catch the light like trapped stars. I had them made into earrings after he passed. He was a real man. The kind who supported his wife's success instead of stealing it. She fastens them to my ears with gentle fingers. Wear them tonight. Let them remind you what actual partnership looked like. My dress choice is deliberate. Not the blue of humiliation or the black of mourning, but emerald green. The kind of green that announces arrival, demands attention, declares war and victory simultaneously. When I look in the mirror, I see someone I haven't seen in 12 years. Not Daniel's wife or anyone's victim, but Lauren Williams, 41 years old and finally fully alive. The rooftop venue sparkles with string lights and heat lamps fighting against the December cold. The moment I step off the elevator, conversations stutter to a stop. Not the uncomfortable silence of scandal, but something else. Recognition, perhaps respect. Robert, dressed in his formal uniform, announces with unusual volume, Ms. Lauren Williams. The emphasis on my name deliberate. Each syllable a declaration. The applause starts with Mrs. Chen, of course, but spreads through the crowd like wildfire. Dr. Martinez from 12 raises her glass. The Johnsons from 8C nod approvingly. Even the 20-somethings who usually ignore everyone over 30 are clapping. Takes me a moment to understand. They aren't applauding my divorce or my drama. They're applauding my courage. The simple act of refusing to disappear quietly. I'm 2 glasses of champagne into actual enjoyment when the elevator chimes at 10:47. The universe, it seems, has a sense of dramatic timing. Daniel steps out with Jessica on his arm. His chin raised in that way that means he's pretending confidence. He wears his most expensive suit. The one I bought him for our 10th anniversary. Jessica wears black. Looking like she'd rather be anywhere else on earth. The room's energy shifts immediately. But not in the way Daniel calculated. Conversations don't stop. They deliberately continue. Voices perhaps a bit louder. Backs turning with synchronized precision. When he approaches the bar, the bartender suddenly needs to check inventory in the back room. When he tries to join a group near the windows, they disperse like smoke. Reforming elsewhere. Jessica's face cycles through mortification to understanding to shame. She isn't his new girlfriend being introduced to society. She's a prop in his revenge fantasy. And everyone knows it. When she catches my eye across the room, her expression crumbles. This wasn't what he promised her. Daniel, red-faced and desperate, makes a beeline for me. But Robert materializes from nowhere. Joined by 2 other doormen I've never seen work an event before. They form a subtle but unmistakable wall. "Sir," Robert says, his voice carrying across the now quiet rooftop, "you're not on the resident list. I'll have to ask you to leave unless a current resident vouches for you." The silence that follows is complete. 60 people. Residents who lived here for years. Who shared elevators and small talk with Daniel. Who attended his 4th of July barbecues. Not one person moves. Not one voice speaks up. The rejection is total. Devastating in its unanimity. Daniel's face goes from red to purple. "This is ridiculous. I lived here for..." "Lived," Mrs. Chen interrupts, approaching with the authority of her former profession. Past tense. The building's quite particular about security these days. At exactly midnight, as if orchestrated by fate, Mrs. Chen takes the microphone for the traditional New Year's toast. The crowd turns toward her, effectively giving Daniel their backs. She raises her champagne, diamonds glittering at her wrist, and speaks with the clarity of judgment. "To new beginnings," she starts, her eyes finding mine across the crowd. "To women who realize their worth after years of being told they have none. To men who learn that consequences, like karma, always come due." She pauses, taking a deliberate sip. "And to Ms. Lauren Williams, who reminded us all that sometimes the best renovation you can do to a home is removing the trash." The laughter that erupts isn't cruel. It's cathartic, a collective release of tension. Glasses raised toward me from every direction. Someone starts clapping again. And this time it sustains, growing into something that feels like vindication. Daniel's composure finally shatters completely. "This is conspiracy. You've all been turned against me. This is illegal." But Mrs. Chen isn't finished. She looks directly at him as if just noticing his presence. "Oh, Mr. Cooper, you're still here. How embarrassing for you." That's when Jessica breaks. She pulls away from Daniel's arm, walks directly to me through the crowd that parts like water. "I'm sorry," she whispers, tears streaming. "I was an idiot. He played me just like." He stops, shaking her head. "I'm just sorry." She heads for the elevator without looking back. Daniel, now alone and surrounded by people who've collectively decided he doesn't exist, begins what can only be described as a meltdown. Sarah from IT has her phone out, recording with the steady hand of someone documenting history. He rants about conspiracy, about his rights, about how we've all ruined his life. "You ruined your own life," Mrs. Chen says calmly, her microphone still on. "Lauren just stopped being your cleanup crew." That's when building security arrives. Not the friendly doormen, but actual security, the kind they keep for real problems. As they flank Daniel, he makes one last desperate proclamation. "I'll destroy you in court, Lauren. You'll get nothing." Miss Patricia, who's been quietly sipping champagne in the corner, laughs loud enough for everyone to hear. "With what money? Your assets are frozen pending fraud investigation. Your job is gone. Your mistress just publicly dumped you. Even your mother took Lauren's side." She raises her glass mockingly. "Happy New Year, Daniel." As security escorts him out, the crowd turns back to me. Not with pity or awkwardness, but with something that feels like solidarity. Dr. Martinez clinks her glass against mine. "Best party we've had in years," she says with a wink. The countdown to midnight begins again. Mrs. Chen actually paused it for the drama. As the numbers decrease and the ball drops on the screen, I stand surrounded by neighbors who became witnesses. Witnesses who became allies. The new year arrives with cheers and champagne. And for the first time in 12 years, I celebrate without wondering what mood Daniel will be in tomorrow. The fireworks fade into smoke against the city skyline as the rooftop party continues around me. But I exist in a bubble of perfect clarity. Mrs. Chen squeezes my hand once before releasing it, her eyes carrying the satisfaction of justice served. The new year has arrived. And with it, the strange sensation of being completely unanchored from my old life. Not drifting, but finally free to choose my own direction. January dissolves into February, then March. Each day building toward the final legal confrontation. The courthouse downtown stands like a monument to other people's endings. But for me it represents beginning. The same building where Mrs. Chen once presided over countless divorces would now host mine. The morning of June 15th arrives gray and humid. The kind of weather that makes everything feel heavy. Except my heart. Daniel appears diminished in every way. His suit clearly borrowed, hanging loose on shoulders that lost their arrogant set. His lawyer, a public defender who looks exhausted before proceedings even begin, shuffles papers with the resignation of someone who knows this is just procedure. The embezzlement charges hovering over Daniel's head removed any possibility of contest. He can't fight without risking criminal prosecution. The judge, a woman about Mrs. Chen's age with similar sharp eyes, reviews the documents with efficiency. Mr. Cooper, do you contest any of the terms set forth in this dissolution? No, Your Honor. His voice cracks on the honorific. 12 minutes. That's all it takes to legally dissolve 12 years. The gavel comes down with a sound like punctuation at the end of a very long sentence. As we file out, Daniel lingers by the courthouse steps. His face working through emotions like he's trying to find the right one. I loved you once, he says. The words falling flat in the humid air. Pause. Mrs. Chen's wisdom flowing through me like inherited strength. No, you loved what I provided. The stability, the money, the cover for your inadequacies. There's a difference between loving someone and loving what they do for you. He opens his mouth, closes it, then walks away. His figure grows smaller against the city backdrop until he turns a corner and vanishes. I know with absolute certainty I will never see him again. And the thought brings only peace. Clean and complete. Like the click of a well-oiled lock. 2 weeks later, Barbara Cooper calls to arrange a visit. She arrives at my apartment carrying a leather case I recognize. The family jewelry she guarded throughout my marriage like I might steal it. Her hands tremble slightly as she sets it on my coffee table. I was wrong about you, she says without preamble. Age having worn away her capacity for pretense. Wrong to treat you as less than. Wrong to raise a son who could. He stops, composing herself. Failed him. And that failure hurt you. We sit across from each other. 2 women examining the wreckage one man created between them. She opens the case, revealing pieces I'd only seen in family photos. An Art Deco bracelet. Pearl earrings from the 1920s. A sapphire ring that belonged to Daniel's grandmother. These should have been yours from the beginning, Barbara says. I withheld them out of snobbery, thinking you weren't good enough for our family. The truth is we weren't good enough for you. We would never be friends. Too much history. Too much hurt. But in that moment we find understanding. She tells me Daniel is living with Kevin now. Working at a rental car location near the airport. Dating a woman named Jennifer who thinks he's divorced because his wife was unfaithful. I hope he's learned, Barbara says. Though her tone suggests she knows better. You taught him the lesson I couldn't. That actions have consequences. Before leaving, she embraces me. Not the air kisses of 12 years. But a real hug. The kind that acknowledges shared pain. Thank you for not destroying him completely, she whispers against my ear. I only destroyed the fiction, I reply. The rest was always there waiting to be exposed. By September, my consulting firm has tripled its client base. The story of the woman who locked out her husband has become city business legend. Female executives seek me out specifically, wanting the strategic mind that could orchestrate such a complete reversal of power. If you can plan a divorce like a military operation, one CEO tells me over lunch, imagine what you can do for my merger. I move offices to a building with windows that actually open. A detail that feels monumentally important. Fresh air whenever I want it. No climate control beyond my own preferences. Mrs. Chen visits weekly. And together we've founded something unexpected. The Key Club. A support group for women learning to control their own doors. Both literal and metaphorical. We should write a book, Mrs. Chen suggests one afternoon. Watching the group of 12 women sharing stories of escape and triumph. Call it Changing the Locks. A guide to reclaiming your life. Maybe, I say. Though I'm already thinking about chapters. Structure. The way truth could become instruction for others trapped behind doors they thought they couldn't change. Now, on this Tuesday morning in October, I stand in my apartment. Truly, completely mine. Watching another sunrise paint the city gold. The locks have evolved again. Smart locks controlled by my phone. A technology that feels symbolic. No physical keys to copy. No mechanical parts to pick. Just encrypted digital security I control completely. Robert still works the front desk. Still calls me Miss Williams with obvious pride. Young women in the building seek me out for advice about relationships, careers, self-worth. Last week, a 29-year-old named Emma asked me the question I once asked myself. How do you know when it's time to leave? When you realize the lock keeping you trapped isn't on any door, I tell her. Channeling Mrs. Chen's wisdom that's become my own. It's in your belief that you need someone else's permission to be free. The moment you understand that, you already have the key. My phone buzzes. Another unknown number. Probably Daniel trying again through some app or borrowed phone. I delete it without reading. Without anger. Without any emotion at all. Some doors, once locked, should remain that way. I make my coffee. 1 sugar. Milk. Prepared exactly how I prefer. And smile at this small rebellion that's become routine. Freedom lives in these tiny choices as much as the dramatic ones. Every preference expressed. Every boundary maintained. Every decision made without seeking approval is another tumbler clicking into place in the lock of my own autonomy. The morning light catches the diamonds Mrs. Chen gave me. The ones that belonged to a man who understood partnership. They sparkle against my wrist as I raise my coffee cup in a silent toast. To endings that become beginnings. To locks that protect instead of trap. To the woman I became by refusing to remain who I was expected to be. The lock that changed everything wasn't just on my door. It was the one I finally installed in my own heart. Securing my worth from anyone who might try to diminish it again. And that lock. That one will never be changed. If this story of calculated revenge and reclaimed dignity had you cheering for Lauren, hit that like button right now. My favorite part was when Mrs. Chen delivered that devastating midnight toast, calling out Daniel's presence with perfect judicial timing. What was your favorite moment of Lauren's transformation? Drop it in the comments below. Don't miss more gripping stories of courage and comebacks. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.